welcome back to the
Thank you,
How
thank
Clearly
you.
podcast.
It's good to be here. It's been, how long has it been since I did the last one? Like a year ago?
Oh my gosh, close to it.
It
I
had to have been.
I think it was like January.
Okay.
Yeah. Remember when we recorded one that didn't get recorded? It had no sound, and then we had to
We're such a
re-record it.
moment.
It was such a sad moment. But the second one,
It was good.
great.
It was better.
It
Yeah.
was so good.
I know.
And
Oh,
the
yeah.
first one was just a warm-up.
Yeah. It's a test in progress. It's fine.
It's so fine. Let's see.
How's,
So
how's life? How are things going?
life's good. Things are good. We were just in Charleston last weekend.
Ugh, yes.
Beautiful city,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful town, very aesthetically pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. As you mentioned, a city for the girls.
Yes. Somebody was telling me actually after we've gotten back that it's like a 4-to-1 ratio of men to women.
I believe it. Of women to men.
Or, yeah. Did I say that backwards? Yes. Way more women than men. Yes.
Yes.
And I was like, I didn't really notice it because we were doing lots of, I feel like, women related things where it was like going to like really cute places, doing a lot of shopping, like coffee shops. I was just like in our zone.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, interesting. I wonder if like it's probably true, but
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I can see why it's Bachelorette Nation.
yes, 1000%.
Yeah.
I'd like to go back.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I felt like everything you needed to look Instagrammable. So
Yeah, we were.
you needed to kind of look like you could get your picture taken at any moment.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would agree, which I don't feel like I was fitting that aesthetic per se.
Yeah.
But now I know going back.
Yes, now that we know this is the vibe.
But not the vibe to find a man.
No, no. Or it's the city for guys to move to. Like,
Honestly, that's probably true. But I feel like if you move there based on how expensive it was, you'd have to have some deep pockets to be able to get what you want and to fit in with the culture and climate, if that makes sense.
it is true. Yes, it's not cheap to be there. And given that the main industry is hospitality, it's kind of the tourism vibe. I'm like, how does this all work? Like, someone give me a breakdown as to how this works.
But I feel like we didn't like, where are the other jobs?
Remember when we took that wrong turn that one time? And when you looked, if you're going over other bridges, I looked around there and I went, oh, that might be it. But I don't know what the industry was. It just looks like maybe that there are other parts where more of the residents live. But I'm like, even then, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, me either. So I don't know if I'll be moving there anytime soon.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because I've been, I mean, I say toying with the idea, but I loosely toy with the idea around relocating.
Mhm.
And I went to Charlottesville and thought, okay, yes, I can see why people live here. I can see why this is a town to move to. I can see how it would be hard to be single in a town like Charlottesville because it's very family oriented. It feels like everyone kind of already has their community. It's a little bit smaller, and Richmond's an hour away. So it's like you have a city that's somewhat close, but not that close. And then with Charleston, it was like, the cost of living is definitely a lot higher than what we're used to, especially here in Raleigh. And also, if you're a single woman, the odds are not in your favor. But then also, I'm like, what do people do for work? Where are people hanging out? Is it very transient? Because it is like so many people kind of come and go there too. Do you have sort of a Nashville situation in a way?
Well, because I feel like then you're getting into like, it was great for us to be there for the weekend, but I feel like then it's like, okay, but what does actual real life look like for people? Well, I was talking to, I think I've told you this, one of my friends who was also thinking about moving, and he was looking at going to Charlotte, and he was like, oh, it was just so much, like people were so much more approachable than Raleigh and stuff like that. And I had all these great experiences. And I was like, I can't decide if that was because, again, you're like a tourist, which I mean, it's not that far, but it's like you're on vacation versus like, is that how it would be if you live there? Because we talked to a ton of people when we were there, when we were in Charleston.
And even in Charlottesville, talked to a bunch of people. And then around here, I don't know what happens. There is the vacation effect, I guess, that comes into play.
So I was like, I couldn't decide because I haven't had like a bad issue with talking to people in Raleigh, but I was like, oh, I don't know. Would it be different in other places? Like, are people more welcoming? Are we a closed off city?
Yeah.
It was interesting because I was like, oh, I've never like noticed it or thought about it.
Yeah. I had a conversation with someone who said she doesn't get approached here.
In Raleigh.
She's like, men don't approach you here. And I thought, interesting. I'm like, so where are they? Where else were you that this
Yeah, that
was
they
gonna
were
be
approaching.
happening? Yeah. And she mentioned like the West Coast. I was like, oh, got it. So I was like, it's a different vibe.
So we're moving to the West Coast.
Yes.
Have you seen the things on, I've seen this every now and then. I can't remember who the person was that was talking about it, but it was like on like holding yourself so that you're approachable, essentially, like being very open and giving off like the cues versus a lot of us are like kind of closed off and like focused on our thing, what we're doing, or if we're with people versus it being like giving yourself an approachable look. Have you
Oh,
ever heard anything on that?
I haven't. Not much. No.
It's, I can't remember all the stuff behind it. I feel like I see a clip every now and then on it, but it's just literally like kind of essentially like something you can work on of being more open and like, making eye contact with people and looking around. A lot of us wear resting bitch face sometimes. So not that you have to change the way your face is, but just to be mindful of giving people an opportunity to come talk to you and looking a little bit more warm. Who's going to talk to you if you're like really closed off and like working on your stuff and like not looking or engaging with anybody?
Yeah. And I think about that with our phones and headphones.
Yes.
So he is
Okay.
someone, he loves an agenda. Every time he's in, no matter what he does, he's like, okay, so 2 hour cocktail party is the book he wrote. And it's like, he likes name tags, agendas, icebreakers, like all those things. But he does this thing called a dating salon. And he'll have like, let's say like 6 to 10 people, and it's divided in half between men and women. And the goal isn't to match make, but the goal is just to talk about dating and what each preferences are, what each have learned about. Like, I think they're located in Austin. So dating in Austin, like what the vibe has been like, what's been difficult, or what's been good. And found that people with headphones in, so it was like women found that they're not going to approach a guy with headphones in. So they were
Yeah.
like, if a guy has headphones in, like take them out. And then for women, like men for women, it was like, if you make eye contact with me, that gives me the cue that you could talk to me. Like, so it was more about like, how can we maybe change these like factors that we're doing every day, all day? Just think about going to a coffee shop and how we're locked in, computers, headphones, and yeah, we're doing work. But maybe it is taking that break to take them out, look around, see if you can make eye contact with somebody,
Yeah.
and how simple an interaction can be. Because we're not doing that. We're on vacation. We are more open.
Yeah,
So,
you're just kind of like, oh, whatever.
totally.
No, I would agree versus like those everyday interactions. No, that makes complete sense. Well, because I feel like everybody's always talking about like, oh, I want to meet someone in person. You know, like everybody's like, I hate the dating apps, blah, 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 which I totally get. But then it's like, are you kind of essentially like, are you doing the things to meet someone in person versus like just going to Trader Joe's? You know, like we can't just
I
go
know.
there and show up and then be like, okay, I'm doing in-person things. So
Right.
I feel like then I've had this conversation a lot of times with clients, like no one's going to show up at your doorstep, obviously. So like getting out and doing the things you enjoy is great. But then I feel like then there's kind of this like, I almost don't know if people are starting to get into like, we're getting out and doing things, but we're not still actually like mingling or talking or putting in the effort.
No.
So then it's like, everybody's like, oh, like I'm getting nowhere with this, or nobody's approaching me, or whatever.
I do think about that because it feels like people go out with their friends and no one's intermingling. And so then it's just everyone's just there with their group and no one's
talking.
No one's talking. So yeah, because you and I have done a few of these. So all right, so we've done speed dating. Scale 1 to 10, how likely would you be to recommend it?
Like a 2 out of 10, probably. How would you give it a higher ranking for recommendation? I felt like I was working for 2 hours.
Yeah. Okay, I would give it maybe a 3. Here's why I would recommend it. I don't know if I recommend it for the idea that you might meet your person.
Yeah.
I'd recommend it for those social skills of you do have to have a like it really is a way of almost like practicing approaching people, like we were
Sure.
talking about. So I feel like that because this was it's a simulated event.
Yep.
You have to talk to a bunch of strangers.
Sure.
By the end of it, you are socially fried.
Yeah.
It is like you just talk to, I don't know, 20 different people
Mhm.
because ours was 2 hours.
Yep.
We got 3 minutes to a person, I
I
think.
think so.
And then it was the rotation.
Yeah.
And at one point, the person hosting it, she looked at me and she goes, "You look like you need a break." And I went, "Yeah." And she goes, "You can sit this one out." Like, but the way that I must have made eye contact with her, she looked like, "Please don't like
Take a moment.
take a moment for yourself." Then, thank you for picking up on that. But yeah, so I think that I recommend it for skills that don't directly have to do with finding your match.
Sure. And that makes sense. But then I wouldn't probably call it almost speed dating.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we then helped other people get familiarized with social skills, sort of, I guess. But
Yeah,
I took nothing away from it.
it's sort of like Toastmasters, but not really. But
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I was happy we tried it just for like something else to do and like something just to see. But
Yeah,
yeah, that was a long day.
it was a long day. Met a few girls that were pretty cool
Oh yeah, we saw that one girl literally.
2 days ago.
Yeah, at the comedy. That was, I didn't remember her. You must have spoke to her and I did.
Yeah, I think right after the event you had to go. And then
Yes.
front of the podcast, wherever and I were sitting, and there were two other girls that were kind of near us.
Mhm.
So it was like every time that they talked to a person, we're kind of getting the same person right after
Mhm.
each other. At one point, we all kind of looked at each other like, this is a lot. And afterwards, we went, I feel like we just need a debrief because it was just such an experience that we all were just in the simulator for 2 hours.
Yeah.
We felt like we need to debrief what just happened.
Mhm.
And so then the four of us went and just chatted for a little bit, at like a bar that was next door. And yeah, then she was at the Jared Free comedy show. So
Still single, still making jokes about it,
yes, we're all still
crying, laughing. It's a
cry.
good one.
It is a cry last situation. All right. So then we did pitch a friend.
Yep.
All right. Scale of 1 to 10. How would you recommend it?
I did like that. I would say that one I felt like more like a 7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
I feel like the pitching of the friends part, I don't think I was ever interested in anyone's profile. I felt like it was just like a fun activity in general. And I liked how you got to like kind of introduce the person and stuff like that, even though I wasn't maybe interested in any of those. But I liked the ambiance of the group, I think, better.
Yeah.
And I liked that they had name tags. And the name tags were like, if you're single, you have a certain color. Because I feel like everybody, that's half of everybody's like inner self-talk. Like, oh, I'm not going to approach someone because I don't know if they're single or like if they're here, like supporting a friend versus actually being more a part of the event. So I feel like that really took out the pressure for people. However, I feel like we're still getting into the same problem of like people aren't really approaching. I feel like it's just like a bunch of people standing around talking with the people that they came with.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes,
but I felt like the event overall was better, but I feel like it still runs into the same problem.
right.
But I don't think that's the event specific. I think that's just a
Society. Yeah, it's a societal problem. I agree. I would also give it 7.5, I think, out of 10. The PowerPoint presentations are more of an activity that
Yeah.
we're all there for, and everyone can have something to talk about. Like when there's like a third thing in the environment. So I think when people are going to other things, like if there's a concert or something, it's like you're all there for the music. And you can't really, a lot of times it's hard to talk to people if it's too loud or something. But this felt like there's a third thing and we can all interact and talk about it. That didn't really lead again to a lot of intermingling, but it took away all the barriers of why you might not approach somebody.
Yeah.
But I liked that it was interactive for the crowd and not just for the people doing the PowerPoints too. So, because I've seen some that are done in different ways. Like I've seen some that were on Instagram that are like you're sitting like it's almost like you're watching a PowerPoint presentation, and it's like you're sitting and then you have the people presenting. So I think rather than doing that, it's more like, hey, you're at a bar and you're not all just like sitting down watching these presentations.
Okay. So that makes sense. It's like you can, it's a little more free flowing, like you can move around.
You're a participant in it and you're there for the whole environment, the whole vibe.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I did like the structure. I would do something like that one again. I'm trying to think if there's been any others that I've seen that are, oh, you didn't go to this because you're not super big into pickleball, but I did go to one at some point, a pickleball. I don't think it was necessarily like a singles dating thing. I think it was just more like a social event, which I don't think I knew at that time, but I mean, whatever, it was still fine because I talked to more women who wanted to be friends. But that was another fun one because it helped bridge a little bit of the barrier of people not approaching each other because you literally would just put your paddles up and whoever you played with was like the 4 people you were playing with. And so then it was kind of forced you guys to talk because I feel like that's another issue where it's like people are at these things, but they're not like talking to each other. And so I do feel like that was almost like the next step where it was like, okay, we're all at a shared event. And then it's like you're being paired with people, again, maybe not who you necessarily always want, but it forces you to be in with those groups and talk to people at that.
That's cool.
So I feel like that was helpful where it was kind of like, okay, we're literally forcing you guys to go do it.
Did you switch groups or were you the same for?
Nope, you switch groups. So sometimes I'd have no clue who I was even playing with until the court was free and then you grabbed your paddle and it was like, here are the people you're going up with.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was actually super funny when we went. I was dying laughing because I played with some girl who was really good and we played against two guys and they were fine at playing, but she was so good that she served all 11 points to them and it was like 11-0. And I've never watched an ego just crash out. And I was like, well, if you were ever thinking of like getting their number, we're never getting them now because we just like crushed them internally.
They're not even gonna end.
No, like I think they were just like tails between their legs, just like walked off. So I was dying laughing, like, this is fun to watch, but that was not gonna happen now.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I want to play pickleball. I don't have good hand-eye coordination. I don't know if that's shocking, but yeah. So in a way, I want to do it, one, to work on my hand-eye coordination. And also I feel like I'm missing out. And it feels like, oh,
it's a very millennial thing. Well, it's a worldwide, but
it's a worldwide thing. Was it America's fastest growing sport?
Yes.
Everyone's doing it. Yeah.
That's fair. I can play with you sometime because you'll want to do it just like one-on-one because if you aren't good, it's not going to be fun. You know what I mean? Like I've played now for what, like 2 or I think maybe like 3 years. Not that I'm like, oh my God, so good, but I can at least like keep up pretty well. When we first started playing, it was awful, but we all sucked at the same time. So it was like nice. We kind of all got better as we played together.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is hard if you don't have anybody else is beginning and they're like, okay, let's go learn this together.
Sure.
It's like, it'd be really hard. It is hard to then like get into it.
Right.
Because you need somebody else to play with. You need at least one person to like hit back and forth.
Right. Yeah. I need a tutor.
Yeah. I'll be your tutor. It's okay.
Thank you.
When I'm going home for Christmas, my dad's obsessed and he booked us a private lesson. So
that's so fun. That's actually a really good Christmas like activity to do when you're home and it's like, hey, let's go do something.
Yeah, we have nothing else to bond over besides pickleball. So he was like, do you want to do a lesson? And I was like, sure, you're paying. So sounds good.
Sounds good.
It was like something we can bond over.
What a treat.
So I'll come back with maybe like I'll have the lesson skills and then I'll be like, listen, I'll show you what I learned.
Coach me so we can go to these events.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Run clubs aren't new. It's so funny. I was just talking to Jamie. I think Jamie and I did an episode, and the last time she and I used to do run clubs when we first moved here 10 years ago, which sounds crazy because we worked at a gym called Tap Out. And then we would go to run clubs to try and like, basically like they were sending us there to promote the gym. But then also we were just like, oh, well, now we're just in with the crowd and meeting people. But it was not what they are now. Most runners, when they're intense, are very, I want to say nerdy with it in the sense that you have your Garmin, you have your sneakers, you have a time that you want to hit. It's not a social thing. And the social thing happens afterwards and people are drinking beer and stuff. But it was, I would say it skewed older. At that time, I was 23. So I would say that most of the people that were attending were late 30s, 40s, 50s. So it wasn't this like, hey, what you see on Instagram now of like these really like hot people, 300 of them running down the street, and you're like, where did they all come
from? And they're matching sets.
And they're matching sets with like, exactly, like makeup on.
It's a little intimidating.
It is.
Like I'm not a runner. You and I, you know that. But I feel like I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, it definitely can be. Like, I think I went to one around here and it's got like, I swear 300 people there.
That's insane.
It was overwhelming. I went with a couple of friends, one person who does this run club regularly. But the day that we went, it was in the summer and they were having a water gun fight afterwards. So it did, which I know it could go either way, right? I'm like, I don't know anybody. They all know each other. I'm not going to go and squirt somebody with a water gun that I don't know. So I was like, I think we're going to like kind of head out soon, guys. Like I was like, this has been like cool, but like, so I would absolutely go back. I mean, no one is advertising it as a singles run club, but you can kind of tell everyone's there for. And then there's another one I go to like pretty regularly and it's a little bit smaller and it feels a little bit better. And people do like to run. And I think a few of them just ran Richmond again, but people show up with their friends. You kind of intermingle with other people there. And then I've seen some people and like some of my friend group, they'll go into the bar at their table. And I'm like, guys, like, aren't we all supposed to be out there like mingling with everybody? Isn't that part of this?
Yeah.
We're not all supposed to be like secluding ourselves here. But yeah, so would recommend.
Okay.
I would say, and here's the other thing. I'd recommend this like 9 out of 10, not just for singles, but for anyone who's looking to meet people. And it's something that's done with regularity. So when you can start to build that, like, hey, I come here every week, and you start to just get familiar faces, you're going to be more likely to say hi to other people.
Agreed.
Just because you're like, oh, you're here every Monday, I'm here every Monday. What's going on?
Yeah, it feels like, I'm not saying creepy because that sounds mean, but yeah, it doesn't feel as like overwhelming or like a stranger versus being like, oh yeah, I've seen your face, I've seen you around.
Yeah.
I feel like it feels a little bit better.
Yeah. It gives like a social context to the person. So what do you think about gyms?
Like approaching people and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's tough. I've had this conversation with some of my male friends because they've asked like, do you want to be approached or not? And I feel like my answer to it is always hard. Like, I feel like it's fine if people approach you, but I feel like it's like you only want them to approach you if you're interested in them. And there's no way to actually gauge that. Like, if someone I was interested in approached me, I'd probably be like, oh, great. But if someone I wasn't interested in, I feel like I'd be like, please go away. Which I feel like is like, how are they supposed to know that? Right. So I feel like that is such a hard one because it goes back to what you're talking about of like, well, you are a psychopath and don't work out with headphones in, but the rest of the world who does. So you're just giving out all these open approach me cues, actually. So you know what? Good for you.
Thank you.
The rest of us with headphones in. I feel like you're kind of, I feel like it would be hard to approach somebody with headphones in unless you were like really making flirty eyes, which I guess you could. I feel like if you were doing that, it'd be fine. But I don't know. I wouldn't want it to ruin my gym space and like make it weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have like 50-50 on it.
Right.
What about you?
I think the only time I've really seen it ruin someone's gym space is when it feels like, how do I put this? Like, I'm really now trying to avoid not just one person, but maybe like a few people.
Oh,
like,
sure.
And now it's not like I go there in hopes that I'm really doing the dodge, dip, duck, and dodge type of thing. I'm trying to not interact with certain people. As someone who does not wear headphones to the gym, I know that it is odd, but it's interesting because it's like, I think the sign to take out a headphone is an interesting one because you can kind of make that eye contact and it's, you know, there's a signal of like, oh, take it out. Like, okay. But I think people should be less afraid of asking people at the gym.
Yeah, that's fair. I could see that. Because I mean, it's truly, unless you're like hardcore into like some like a deep set and you can tell, like I feel like it's like kind of read the room. You know, like I feel like if someone approached me like I was like stretching, kind of warming up, doing some things, if you're again in the middle of like an intense, something a little bit more of an intense set or something like that, no. But I feel like if you're kind of in that space, like outside of that, I feel like then it's fine. I had someone do it and it was fine. Like it didn't bother me.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say on how to do it. Okay. You don't coldly do it off the bat. I think, again, sort of like what we were talking about with run clubs, it's you go up to someone, you make eye contact. Hey, seen you around here before, you know, what's going on? Exchange names and then kind of like quick conversation and you can leave it at that. I've had someone ask me about my shoes because I was wearing like minimalist shoes and so was the other person. And so we kind of bonded over like, oh, hey, we're both wearing the same kind of shoes. You can pick something out, either something that someone is wearing, a brand, or even something in the environment. The gym that we go to, I feel like I see some interesting things happening. So you can kind of go like, hey, you know, this person's like really enjoying their workout with their like loud music or taking a video of themselves or whatever might be happening. But yeah, so I feel like that there are ways to do it where you can bond and just like I'm not trying to hit on you. I'm just trying to make a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And I think that there's been a sort of a lost art on just simply doing that. I've seen it quite literally where someone just walked head on to one of my friends who was somewhat next to me and it was a scene to watch. And this guy asked out my friend and I heard the whole thing, of course. So he just was like, hey, I've seen you around. I wanted to see if I can get your number and we can hang out sometime. It was a bold move, but she had never seen him before. I had never seen him before. This wasn't like, hey, we all see each other around and now I want to ask you out. It was like, I don't know who you are. And so I feel like that when that's the case, that's maybe a warm it up first. Hey, I've seen you around. I want to introduce myself. Enjoy your workout. Yeah.
That's fair. Like giving like a little bit of like kind of like planting the seeds a little bit.
Yes.
Because again, if you're at a gym, you most likely would be seeing the person again. So now it's like, okay, if you've introduced yourself or whatever, then you probably will see them around again because you'll be like, oh, I recognize and remember them talking to me.
Yeah.
So then, no, I know what you mean. I think that's fair. Because there's a lot of faces at the gym I've started to recognize now. I mean, there's a zillion people, but some of them I've like, okay, now I've, like you kind of start to see your morning crew or whoever.
Yeah. Yeah. People go to, I mean, people have their routines. So I feel like you start to just build the familiarity with people, which is nice because I like going into a space and kind of having a little bit of knowledge about what's going on around me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do too. So, okay. So maybe on the gym situation, we could peer pressure some people into doing that.
Yeah. I think guys have most of the guys I've talked to have said, yeah, you're not asking a girl at the gym. They're like, no, you're going to be the creep. And I was like, no, there's just a way to do it. And I was like, I think the guys who I was having this conversation with, I would never put in the creeper category anyway. And I was like, I think it's just about, so I almost want to like help them also kind of get out of their heads about what this looks like. If it's just about how you do it and how you approach people.
Yeah. Oh, I also feel like too, a lot of that can be, I feel like I see these, I don't even know if I would call it rage bait per se, but I feel like you'll see like on, whatever, Instagram, TikTok, where it'll be like somebody's posting something of like some guy who did something and it was really creepy and it was at the gym and they have it on video, right? So taping themselves and stuff. So I feel like almost some of that can give that impression of how it's being perceived. And like you said, I feel like it's all about the approach and how you're managing it. And again, if you're reading social cues, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like most regular people are able to gauge like, okay, I feel like there's some good banter or whatever versus it like being some of the videos that you see where you're like, okay, well, are you doing that when you're approaching them? No. So like, you're not going to be viewed in the same light.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You're not going to, hopefully whatever approach you make isn't the kind that's going to go viral.
Right. Exactly. Which honestly, I say this to people all the time when they're like, I'm really anxious about like, blah, 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 like how that's going to go. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Are you going to come in saying something like wildly sexist or like racist? And they're like, no. And I'm like, right. So anything you're going to do for the most part should be like normal. Like, is it maybe going to be butterflies and fireworks and they're going to be like, oh my God, yeah, let's go on a date? Maybe not, but you're not going to do anything off the cuff. Whereas I feel like with people kind of, again, being creepy and stuff, you're not going to be doing anything that's overtly crazy. So it like kind of should be okay. For the most part.
You kind of keep in the realm of I'm just looking to make an introduction. So then it can be making an introduction. And I mean, look, I've made friends specifically just at the gym. Our relationship exists just in this one place. But we kind of then check in on like what's going on each day. And it's kind of like, well, what do you have going on today? What's going on this weekend? How's it been? That kind of stuff. So you can start to make a little bit of the small talk. And I think that by also you make small talk with one person, other people see you talking to that person and interacting with them. And then it looks like, okay, I now have the cue that they're an approachable individual that I could potentially talk to. Yeah. And who knows, maybe then it's like, there's a sort of, I have that time before too, where then it becomes like a bit of a group and it's like, oh, hey, do you know so-and-so? They're standing right here. Like, so you can kind of invite another person into the conversation. One time I got locked out of the gym because they didn't open the gym on time. So then a bunch of us were standing outside bonding. Just always fun.
That's hilarious. I forgot that. I was so annoyed. Oh, that's funny. I'm trying to think like how to word this. Where the goal of like talking to other people is in the sense like you're trying to build community versus it being like my sole focus is like trying to find a partner and like finding the one. Because I feel like then that can come off a certain way. Or again, it's almost like you're trying too hard to, and you're hyper fixating on this one thing that you don't have and that you want. And then I feel like it almost like somehow shoots you in the foot. Yeah. And so I feel like in that way, it's like if I'm again just kind of going in with like building community and like connection and like obviously the goal might be like I hope I do find someone, but I feel like then it maybe allows you to be more open to it, and then people can kind of be like oh, like here's someone I know that might be a good fit, or again like I was thinking of you to set this person up. Like I feel like it gives you a little bit more opportunity to do a little bit more of that versus it just being like I'm going in and asking these people to go on dates because that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, exactly. It works in your social. I like to say you need to have scrimmages before you get to the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is if you're looking to ask somebody out, you don't want to just coldly jump into that because that can feel like, again, a lot of pressure and also a lot of pressure for you and the other person.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just kind of going in and building community, then I think that focus will then naturally lead to potentially other opportunities. Yeah. So I like that advice.
Thank you.
Yes.
We'll try and follow it.
Yeah. Jamie likes to give me homework on what I need to be doing for my dating life anytime I talk with her,
Lovely.
which is so fun. Yeah. So I'm sure that I'll be added to the list.
I could probably work on that too. I am not great at the gym of talking to people besides you. I'm like, hey, I know you. And then I put my headphones back in.
Yeah, exactly. Which, yeah. I mean, look, I've been there for, oh my God, 4 years at this point. And I still talk to the same 4 people. So
that's fine. Get your people and that's it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It starts with 4. Who knows? Maybe it'll build. Okay. Dating conversations. All right. So what do you think needs to be covered in a first date?
Is it someone you've met on a dating app or in the wild? Because I feel like I've learned that if you've met on a dating app, you have collectively more information about them than versus someone you don't know anything about.
Interesting. Okay, we want to do both?
Sure. Okay, so I feel like if it's someone you've met on the dating app, I feel like most people, for the most part, have their, at least the big ones for me, are like their religion and if they want kids or not.
You need to go into religion because you've had a couple of dating experiences. Yeah, you've had some experiences here.
So I would say usually on like the first or second date, pending like how the date's going in conversation wise, if I can sneak it into the first date. And honestly, if I feel like I'm interested in going on a second date, I'll ask it on the first. And I feel like for the sake of not wasting people's time, I feel like approaching the religion one is a good way to quite literally know if there's going to be a second date. So I do usually ask people, and I feel like I like to frame it in a way of like, what does this look like for you? And kind of how important is that in your life? And just kind of all the things, especially too, because I feel like a lot of people, their religion shows up differently maybe for them in that moment. But then when you start talking about how do you want that to look like for your future, AKA kids, I feel like that can kind of, I don't want to say change their answer, but it kind of changes how they answer it versus like how they're doing it just for themselves. And so to me, I'm fine with approaching that because again, I don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste theirs and I don't want to get connected to somebody and like plan these things, do all this conversation if it's ultimately going to be something we're not going to agree on or it's not going to align. So to me, I'm fine with asking that. But I don't know if some people think that's too forward of like, oh no, I want to build things before we get into that.
No, I think that's actually, I think it's good to have some of these harder conversations kind of right off the bat because you're kind of looking for what are some of the things that you're looking for in a partner and and is that something that you can see happening here?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that that's a good way of like, because the way you also ask it on a first date, I think is a good way of asking it.
I don't think it's ever been received badly. Like it's never like,
no,
what's this? You know, it's just like, hey, like, what does this look like for you? How important is it? Like, kind of how do you operate now? I feel like everybody I've ever asked it to has always been super receptive to that. And then a lot of times they'll kind of give me their answer. I'll kind of let them know where I stand. And then if it's maybe not exactly like in alignment, I kind of tell people like, that's maybe something for you to think about of what that looks like. Or if that's something that like kind of maybe there's some wiggle room on how you stand on it, or if that's a firm, like this is what I need, what this looks like, because if that's the case, then like we're not going to be a good fit.
Right. I mean, again, I go back to the show Nobody Wants This because that's literally the whole show is that he's a rabbi and I don't know if I want to convert. So
yeah,
but I think what I like about the show is that it was 2 people who went into it knowing that this was going to be a friction point.
Yeah.
And trying to see if they could, where are they going to be willing to compromise?
Yeah.
So with how they're handling the show, I think
that
what I do like is the continuous conversation of we know that we want to be in this relationship, but how are we going to handle this?
Yeah.
And like, I think that dating now at this point has gotten this connotation that needs to be so frictionless that you shouldn't be having, that basically if we're not on the same page, then that's a no. But I don't even know if people are truly self-reflecting on what that means for them.
Sure.
When I hear of people kind of going like, I don't really know, I just know that it's somewhat important, what I would challenge that is what are your true values that maybe exist under faith? Like if it's kindness, if it's compassion, if it's treating others the way you want to be treated, if it's community service, it's giving back to the community. What are some of the things that maybe exist in that? And how maybe that could be given into a partnership in other ways that maybe aren't directly to do with religion. But I think that there is a bit of a spectrum here that could be fluid and flexible while also understanding where it is like maybe deal breakers and there is some more rigidity and structure around it.
Yeah. No, I think that's very fair. I think the hard part with that is that would probably consist of them having to probably do a lot of that reflection or understanding. I feel like nobody wants this. His name's Noah, right?
Yes.
I feel like he probably has maybe, well, in this made up character, he's got a little bit more of like the depth and understanding around what that looks like for him maybe and is exploring that. Whereas I feel like a lot of maybe people I've experienced maybe fully don't. And I don't think there's a way to do that without like literally like playing therapist for them of like, ooh, it'd be like me having to be like, oh, like exploring some of those things. But then I feel like at that rate, then you're playing therapist.
Which is really hard to not do sometimes. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, yeah, it's like, it's hard because it's almost wanting to toss that ball into someone else's court and ask those questions. But on the flip side, it is that might be their own work.
Yeah. And so like ultimately it is, which is what makes it hard. But I feel like I've gotten really good at like, I don't take any offense to it. And like, I'm like, you should have the things that you want and like what that looks like and your values and like what's important to you. Like, I don't take it personally, you know, because it's not personal. So,
no,
because I've had lots of good dates with lots of different people that we don't align with that. And then so it is always a little bit of a disappointment. But at the same time, to me, it's kind of the equivalent of like, if you have a great date with someone and they're like, I don't want kids. And then it's like, oh,
right.
Whoa, that's like kind of hard to compromise on, you know? So to me, it's just kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, but I feel like sometimes, I don't know if you ever feel this way, but to me, it's still nice that I always take away that like there are still good people out there and people that I can connect with and like have good conversations. So I feel like even though ultimately it's maybe like, oh, we don't align with certain things, that's totally fine. But there's still good people out there because I feel like the dating culture is such a dumpster fire for everybody and it's so much negativity, which I totally get. But I feel like sometimes then that gives you a little bit more like a breath of fresh air.
Right, that there are good people out here. Yeah, no, I do agree with that. It gives you more chances and experiences to say I can have good dates.
Because otherwise I feel like it can be very disheartening for people. I see a lot of people, it's like they get really jaded or just kind of like, I'm just not doing it. Like I'm not putting in the effort anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that stuff starts to come up.
Oh, for sure. And I think what's interesting is that how dating apps play so much into this conversation too, because I think when people talk about, are you dating? Are you know, what's happening? I think that automatically sometimes our minds will go to, are you on the apps or not? Like it's sort of how much effort are you putting into it? Or what is it looking like for you? And again, there's the app fatigue, which is how all these events have become way more popular. So with an app, you get to see someone's, you know, religion and everything else to it. But I think it takes the conversation to see how it plays out for like their day-to-day life or how important it is to them.
Yeah. Or like I feel like some people will not put stuff to not take away their opportunity for things. So it's kind of an interesting ball game.
It is interesting because so you said you feel like get more information about someone on an app. I actually feel like I get more information from someone in real life.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
As interesting as that is, I feel like I have more context for them. I feel like I see how they interact with people. Information wise, you get that on an app. But if I want to go on a date with you, get more of that in person.
Yeah, sure. That's fair. I feel like, yeah. I get what you're saying. I think I get more
data.
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
But I get what you mean of like someone can have, it's kind of like, right, like someone can check off all the right things, but you meet in person and you're like, ooh.
Right.
So like it's kind of like a little bit of both.
For sure. Oh.
What a time to be alive.
What a time. It's so wild out here. This would be an interesting experiment because of the choice fatigue that we all have. We have endless choices, but that leads to no decisions being made, I think. it would be interesting to see, like, if you just got all the single, we're in Raleigh, mid-sized city, there's about 500,000 people here. And so if there's about 500,000 people here, how many of them are between the ages of, let's say, 27 to 40 and single?
Yeah.
One kids, or like you aligned in that way too? I'm trying to think what other criteria, like, are in alignment with whatever, right? So we'll just take that to begin with. Then I'm like, okay, so then how many of them are here? Like, then how big is the pool?
Yeah.
Okay. So then it's like, okay, then what if we all got into a room? And then you could really only pick like the ones that are here in this, let's say, 10-mile radius. And it's like, so it would be interesting to almost like dive it down to like, okay, you have this many people in a city, you have between this age category, and then you all are just here and meeting in real life. Like, because it can feel, I think, overwhelming with choice, but then when I dive it down in that way, there really, I don't think, are as many choices as we believe to be there are.
Sure. Yeah, it reminds me of when people do like like they'll do that with marbles, where it's like, or whatever, coffee beans or something, where it's like, here's this huge thing, and then it's like, well, half of these people are women, and then you start like kind of breaking it down. But then it almost feels like then you're getting into where it's like, it's not the exact same thing, but where it's like all women, what are they that saying? Where it's like we're all going after the same, what is it?
Oh, like,
or 5% of
that like 80% of women are going after the same 20% of men. And when you use this as like dating app metrics, of course, it's going to be like, oh, he's like 6'2". He works in tech. He works out and enjoys health and fitness, right? So then it's like, yeah, like they're going to have way more matches. So for women, the theory is that women are filtering out more than men are. And so height is a metric to filter out. But 64% of users on the app are men.
Sure.
So it's like, but we're all going after the same, let's say 10%. So if like, basically if there's 100 men on an app, women are going after the same 20 guys, which is a wild thing to think about.
Yeah, I know, it is crazy, which is why I think we need to get some men on here.
I know. I would love to have more discussions with men about dating.
I think some of my friends would do it.
I would like that.
Because it is fun. I do enjoy getting the opposite perspective, like what their experience is. I've even done that even with like people, I feel like, because a lot of times I feel like on dates, people will be talking about like, what's your experience been with dating? Or, just like kind of like, I always like to ask people like when their last first date was, just to kind of see like, how active are you? What does some of that look like?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's always a fun question because sometimes it's like, oh, 3 days ago. And then sometimes it's like 2 months ago, just to kind of like see.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of times that'll come up with people, and nobody gives like, I feel like wild answers usually of like their experiences with dating. I feel like it's usually relatively in the same, but it is kind of interesting just to see like, what's the flip side of that look like for you guys?
Yeah. Oh, I love that question. I ask it to most men that I interact with. It was actually, I did that when I went on this like one online date, and it was kind of interesting. I feel like the tricky part is that everyone's frustrated. Men and women are frustrated with each other. Like, so you get into this weird territory of like, you kind of almost hear like a bit of the blame game in a way.
Yeah.
You start to like hear it, and then you're like, right. And so then you almost are like trying to figure out like how much of this is like you trying to blame it on other things, or just, society, all women, all men, all this, right? Just the generalizations. But then I'm like, but what are you actually doing? Like, as an individual, how are you actually helping yourself in this case?
How are you trying to make it better versus, I always love the little Spider-Man meme.
Oh,
it's like everybody's pointing the finger at everybody else. Because I do feel like we're in that space very usually, like, which I get. And I get like why both sides have issues with all the different things. Like, I feel like they're all usually like, yeah, that makes sense. And I get it. And I can see it from both ends of why it feels that way. But yeah, it's like, what is the kind of maybe the middle ground solution with some of that, which I think is the hard part. And I think that's why everybody goes to these in-person things and then still doesn't talk to anybody. And then they walk away still being frustrated.
Yeah.
With being, one of my guy friends always used to joke when we talk about going out and stuff. And he was like, so we can just stand around in a circle talking to our friends and paying for overpriced drinks. And I'm always like, ooh, such a burn, but like so true, where it's like,
it is true.
Unless people are, you're going to like be going up to people and talking, like putting in that effort, like, what are you just standing around looking, like just like taking in the sights?
Yeah. pretty much, So I guess takeaways. What can people start to do to change their dating life?
I feel like people are moving in a good direction with going to in-person things. I feel like the biggest thing is people having to approach people. And like we kind of talked about, like maybe doing a little bit more of like the soft launch a little bit and like just getting, I think, practice, like approaching people, it not being the worst thing ever. Even if you're not like asking for numbers and asking them out, I think just like gets you in like the groove of doing it. You feel more natural. And then I think you feel more comfortable doing it and it comes off less weird because again, you've got a little bit more practice. I feel like honestly, that's the biggest one because I feel like that's the biggest barrier for most people is actually approaching. And I think for women, they have to get over the fact of like, I don't want to approach a man. If like on our end, that would be like on our side because you can't control if men are going to approach you.
Right.
So you either have to be okay with like practicing being open and giving off those cues and then like letting people approach you if they're going to or not, or you have to get on board, I feel like, with being like, it's okay for me to approach people, even if you're not the one asking them out. It might be like, I'm going to approach them to let them know that I'm interested, and then they could do the asking out.
Yes.
Like, I feel like that would be maybe like a good example of maybe some compromise in it a little bit more.
Right. There's a great analogy that it's like in the 1920s, women would drop a handkerchief and for the guy to pick it up. So then it's like, it's sort of like you're dropping the handkerchief to kind of say like, oh, I'm interested. So that it's like, oh, like this is like a way to lead into a conversation.
Yeah.
I like that. There's something I like to give people in a way. It's called the Barista Challenge. That's what I named it.
Ooh.
So do not do this when there's like a line out the door, but when it's sort of a casual, like, you're in line and you have a conversation with the barista. And what I like about this is that the barista is the host of the party. Part of their job is to make you feel welcome, make you feel comfortable. Most of the time, especially around here, they're happy to do this. They're happy to give input or insight or whatever. And ask them their opinion about something. Even if you order a straight black coffee every time, ask like, hey, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer this blend versus this blend? Or how do you take it? Or if there's a new drink on the menu, and I say like, oh, what's that like? For them to comment on something. So you get a little bit more of a small talk banter in a way that feels like you're not going to be shut down. You're not going to be rejected. They're taking your money. It's fine. You're literally paying for this. So, and it's good practice. Who knows? Maybe you get someone else in line who's like, oh, did you see this one here? Or one time I walked in and someone was trying to decide what they wanted. It was a place that I go to all the time. And they're like, oh, I don't know what I want. And I was like, well, everything's good here. So you're in good hands. But it was just like a comment to kind of be like, oh yeah, totally get it. Cause like everything here is great. So, you can't go wrong, but it's an invitation to start a conversation. It's a little bit of an olive branch. So the more you can kind of see that in your environment, the more that this does become easier.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's like a nice, like, yes, like just both sides to me. That's like the nice compromise. Like just putting yourself out there a little bit more, but doing it in like gentle ways that don't feel like so abrasive.
Right. Right. Yeah. So a little bit kinder to ourselves and others.
A little homework assignment. I like the barista. I like kind of titling it that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've started that years ago where a client was like, I'm struggling with talking to people. And I was like, you have a barista challenge.
Yeah. That to me is like the easiest.
Oh my God.
Because they're chatty Cathy's at the checkout. Like even just again, like just forcing yourself to have those casual conversations.
Yes. Oh, I am friends with the employees there.
Oh yeah. Literally.
Yes. It's great. It's a whole thing. Yeah.
That's too funny.
Anything else for today?
I don't think so. I like kind of the goal of having people start doing some of like the soft launches into communication.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about making it less scary.
Yeah. Yes. Like nothing bad's going to happen. It might be uncomfortable, but
yeah, but it's all going to be okay.
But yeah, it's doable. You'll live.
Yeah. Look, I've lived through plenty of awkward moments. So
haven't we all?
Yes.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And oh yeah, new podcast update. We're going to be doing dating conversations monthly now. So if you have questions, comments, stories, send them in. We want to know.
Yes, absolutely. We want to know where's the hot place for us to go.
Yes. Yep. Yes. So we can go on the corners of the internet to Reddit and the Are We Doing the Same Guy Facebook group, but we want to hear from you directly. So send us your thoughts, feedback, conversations, receipts. I love a text message. Love a chain. So yeah. All right.
Awesome. Have a great Sunday.
You too. Enjoy yoga.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And until next time, everyone, stay connected.